Okay, so game two, Wafflemaster versus vsSBMous. This time, Wafflemaster playing Terran and vsSBMous in the top left, remaining as Protoss. So, yeah, interesting choice because actually this is quite a good map for Zerg, really. A lot of wide open spaces. So Lings can run about, can get surrounds. The sort of third up here, there's two ways into it, so ideal for Ling run bys and stuff. So actually, given that 16-bit is a good sort of turtle map because it's easy to turtle up on 3 or 4 bases. Probably better to have done this the other way around, played 16-bit as Terran and played this map as Zerg, but doesn't really matter. Let's have a look at what's going on. It's a funny map, Fracture, because there's a lot of different sort of pathways to get around the map, and there's it's harder to get up to 4 bases on this map. You can get your natural expand, as always, is pretty easy to hold, but even look at the third, that your third's over here, and units can come at you from here, they can come at you from here, they can come at you from here. So 3 potential pathways into this third base, and look at the reasonable amount of distance that you've got to travel. If units come up here to attack your third, look how far it is to walk around to the main. It's a long way. So from a Terran point of view, if your opponent is up on a third base, drops in this area can just be savage. You can drop down here with a bunch of Marines, and then when stuff comes to sort it out, you can lift and drop up into the main base, and you can hop between the two, and it's really straightforward. So it puts pressure on your opponent to split their forces appropriately. If you've got a siege tank in the mix as well, throw a siege tank into one of the medevacs, 2 medevacs, siege tank up in this position, it's hitting stuff down here, it's hitting stuff here. It's ugly, and even split in the siege tanks, one here with a handful of Marines on either side, can make it a very difficult position for your opponent to deal with. Okay, so vsBMous parked over here, just waiting for anything to come out. The defensive bunker goes up for Wafflemaster. There's 2 racks over here, but of more interest is this. There's a barracks over here. I'm not sure what this barracks is about, but I think we're going to find out soon enough. So Wafflemaster sees the probe, decides to try and chase it. The probe looks in, nope, there's nothing in this bunker yet, so he's able to walk on past, and he is going to get a reasonable look around. Now this command center, no orbital yet, and actually no more workers in production, so it looks like there's going to be a proxy factory on the other side of the map. And I'm going to be curious to see what comes out of this. Is this going to be something funky? Are we going to be flying this factory up into the main or something? Not a great main to do it. I mean, you could land up in here and probably get away with it, and try and sneak out a couple of widow mines or something. But if you were going to do that, you'd probably build it here. So I'm not sure what this is going to be. Is this a reactor? It is. So maybe we're going to see a barracks and factory swap to get the fast reactor, and possibly Hellion run by, or even a cyclone push or something like that. Let's watch this space and see how that unfolds. Air armor coming up for our Protoss player. So vsBMous not messing, going straight to air. I'd like to have seen an oracle first. If you're unfamiliar with oracles, you definitely need to check them out. Oracles are devastating in terms of how quickly they kill light units. So it is a spellcaster. It doesn't shoot indefinitely, but you fly it into your opponent's mineral line, you activate its sort of death rate beam or whatever it's called, and that will deal a lot of damage to light units, and it can just carve through a mineral line terrifyingly quickly. Really sort of game-changing damage in a very short space of time. If your opponent is not sort of on point with pulling workers and reacting to it, they can lose 5, 6, and even north of 10 workers before the oracle runs out of energy. So yeah, a useful unit, and a very fast flying unit as well, so it can skirt around the edge of the map and be in your opponent's base pretty sharpish. No, it is by the looks of things, going to be really carriers that we're going to see, because this is the fleet beacon coming down. And the fleet beacon enables tempests and carriers. So the second base is building for the Protoss player. Carriers are mighty expensive units. So in general, if you're Protoss and you are thinking I want to play carriers, 3 bases is what you need to be on to really amass a almighty carrier fleet. If you're just going to be mixing in carriers, then potentially you could do that off 2 bases, but to be honest, not really, because you know the army that you're going to be mixing them in with, you're not really building off 2 bases. So you know, I'd sort of suggest that carriers require 3 bases, but if left to your own devices and you don't really build anything but carriers, then yeah, sure, why not? It looks to me, though, that Wafflemaster is not going to leave him to his own devices. He is amassing a reasonable number of units here. So there's a reasonable amount of Marines, and Marines are good against Void Rays. But look, these are critical, absolutely critical upgrades. The Marines will not fare that well without these. So against the Voids, Combat Shield, obviously, plus 10 life for a Marine, you know, 45 compared to 55, it's a big difference. So that one's pretty obvious, but stim as well is crucial. You know, these Void Rays have a reasonable range. What you need to be able to do is get the Marines underneath them and then focus them down one at a time, and stim is the way to do it. So in general, your opponent's Void Rays come at you, you've got a handful of Marines, your tactic is to hit T, right click onto the Void Rays, run your Marines underneath them, and then just be right clicking on the voids one at a time. So don't open fire at the edge of your range. Make sure your entire batch of Marines is completely underneath the Void Rays, so that they can't sort of run away, they can't escape. I'm just not sure about this. You know, what like why they're not. I don't really understand why we're building. You know, you build stuff right here if you're going to absolutely mad rush, but at 7 minutes there isn't any sort of rush. You know, this isn't like going to be a fast cloak banshee. It's not at 7 minutes, it isn't. So why not just build these in your main base? You know, there's plenty of space. Look, I'm not sure about that. Anyway, this is just having a little stretch. Yeah, so 2 bases saturated for the Protoss, and yeah, you can see this significant overall income advantage there. You know, so 50% up in minerals and double the gas income of the Terran player. And that's, you know, look at this, not saturated in the main base. Is that because he's just transferred some units, some workers to down here? Oh, I don't really know what's happening. But look, why aren't you building workers, Wafflemaster? And why aren't you using all of this energy? Look, that's, you know, boom, 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 3 mules, and you've instantly got quite a good income. Were they about to, they looked like they were about to build supply depots. What is this about? Like, just build all over the map? I don't really get it. Anyway, third base is coming down for vsSBMous. Look at this production tab. That's what I like to see. Loads of stuff building, loads going on. The money for vsSBMous is low, and you know, admittedly the money's low for both players, but this is a hearty income. So vsSBMous doing a pretty good job of turning resources into units. The shield upgrade is coming up, and shield upgrades affect both ground and air, and indeed buildings. And the carrier count only at 2 at present, but we are building carriers. Yeah, there is carriers in production from this Stargate Void Rays coming out of this one. So in terms of army supply, vsSBMous is going to start cranking up in army supply, because carriers they use so much supply up. It's not going to take long for him to start accelerating away from the Terran. But in terms of the value from these units, needs to be a bit careful, because look how spread out they are. And oh no, that's horrible to watch. I mean, what you've done is basically park the Void Rays exactly where the Terran would like them to be. And that's a real shame, because actually what you wanted to do was, well, wait for your units to be together. Oh, it's all happening. There's stuff going on the other side of the map as well. vsSBMous decides to go home to try and defend this. He's not going to get there in time. A recall would have been the better option. This is a reasonable little force, and these cyclones can focus air. They can lock down on things like the carriers. So let's have a quick look at the army supply. It is reasonably even. What sort of upgrades are we talking about? We do have +1 plating and +1 armor, and these Marines, remember, have got roughly nothing, no stim, no combat shield, so they are just going to get cleaned up pretty quickly. 3 carriers is doing good damage. And unfortunately, the Cyclone is not using its lock-on to even focus these carriers. And it does have to lock on to shoot air. It doesn't just by default shoot up. So how does that change things? Pretty substantially. The army supply for the Protoss now doubling that of the Terran. As I was saying previously, the way you want to run that fight, you want the Void Rays to focus down the bunker first of all, so hit the prismatic alignment and they will evaporate a bunker in no time. You want to wait for your other units to appear, and you want to keep the Void Rays at the edge of the range of the Marines. You don't want them engaging above the Marines, because Void Rays stack and Marines don't. So if you keep right at the edge of the range, it's only the front Marines ever that are shooting you. Whereas if you're right above the Marines, it's all of the Marines shooting you. Your Void Rays can only shoot sort of 1 Marine at a time, so they don't do that well against Marines in general, unless you've got sort of critical mass of them. So you know, they're not difficult things to micro Void Rays, but you do just want to think a little bit about how you engage. Right, okay, what's happening? I don't even know. The tech lab's coming down over here. How do you even manage this? There's buildings all over the map. There's a bunch of workers standing doing nothing there. There's like, what is this? What am I even watching here? So only 44 gas income is shocking, quite frankly. Nothing in production despite almost 2,000 in the bank is also shocking. SBMous with Void Rays queued up, and now that you have got 3 bases, oh no, actually you don't, you lost that one, didn't you? Okay, let's see how this engagement goes. The mothership is here to cloak everything. I think the Protoss just wins at this point, is what happens. Looks like SBMous is wise to this sneaky base up here, and is just going to go and take it out. There's nothing here that can defend it. There's only 35 army supply. That is probably scattered all over the map. It is. There's stuff here. There's stuff there. So I wouldn't even bother to go home. You know, I would think I would have stayed and killed that. Yeah, looks like he might get the cancel on this base. This stuff is coming across the map pretty slowly here. So yeah, but he has found this stuff in the corner. The Banshees and the Vikings could be useful. I mean, the Banshees I would be sending into the main base separately to kill workers. The Vikings above the Marines could be useful against this Protoss air, but you just don't have enough Wafflemaster. It's as simple as that. You know, SBMous is almost double your total supply. He's now in fact double your supply, and this air army is just looking pretty scary, to be honest. It's got a couple of upgrades compared to none, and there's just far too much. That Viking with 1 health. Yeah, so cloaked buildings are weird, right? The mothership just comes in and cloaks everything up. So what's the army supply like now? Roughly 0 for the Terran, and the Protoss is continuing to produce air, continuing to produce things. So you know, if it wasn't for there being buildings scattered all over the map, I'd say this is going to end pretty soon. What I would like to see, you've got carriers, you've got air. I'd like to see more upgrades come out for that. You know, get the +1 here. Get the next shield upgrade. It will require Twilight. This is an important upgrade for the carriers. It launches the interceptors more quickly. You know, so crank those out. You've got enough money to do it. Yeah. So Void Rays will make very short work of this. This is going to be forfeit. This random barracks in the middle of the map might take a while to find, but you know, the advantage of going air, if you do get some Terran saltiness hiding things in the corner of the map, at least the air can scout around the edges. yeah, so again, this is going to fall pretty quickly. I don't think the Terran has any units at this stage, really. 6 units, nothing in production. Despite all of this money, there aren't even any Marines being produced. So I think it's essentially given up. Presumably, we're building 1 gas extractor. That isn't gas extractors. The last time I checked, not should. So it's hard to see how that's going to help in future battles. The Protoss army supply is substantial. It's got things, it's got other shit. Look at these interceptors just kind of being annoying, tickling things to death. Drops the time bomb there, just in case. Like it a lot. Time bombs, we haven't seen time bombs used, and they kind of aren't as popular as they used to be back in the days of the Mothership Corps. Time bombs were a wonderful thing. Look, there's buildings just appearing all over the place. What even is this? I don't really understand what I'm saying. But time bombs shouldn't be underrated. Time warps just basically slow down enemy units. They don't slow down your units, only enemy ones. Look, just kill that guy. I think once you see what's happening here, if you're SBMous, you must realise that now what you're dealing with is just Terran saltiness. The Terran is not just taking the piss and they're just going to try and build stuff around the map to be obnoxious. So, you don't need 16 Void Rays to kill the 2 Marines that are about to appear or whatever. 1 Void Ray will suffice. So what I'd like to see is these units separated up and spread out in all different directions across this map to clean up these sort of stray buildings as quickly as possible, really. Yeah, look what's happening here. The Liberator is going to come in. Is this Liberator going to get a few kills? It looks like it might. It's not going to matter. SBMous is holding 2,000 and 2,000. So he can lose all of his workers. He's still got enough money to build units for the time being. The Void Ray with Prismatic Alignment will take out a Liberator remarkably quickly. Will the Liberator be able to get away? I don't think so. It's faster than an aligned Void Ray. The alignment does slow the Void Rays down, but Void Rays have this weird range thing where if they're attacking a unit and that unit runs away, their range is extended. I wonder, does it tell you about it here? Range 6. At least I think they do. If they don't, they definitely used to. But I think it's still a thing that a retreating unit running away from a Void Ray, the Void Ray's sort of beam continues to kill it even once it's out of the range at which the Void Ray can start to kill it. These need to be on the move command so that they are cleaning this stuff up. You want to kill these workers before they plant something else. Don't just ignore them, kill them. But with that said, to be fair to SBMous, he is doing exactly what I suggested. Look at this mini-map, it's great. There's units just spreading out in all directions, which is exactly what you need to do to deal with this. So once you've verified that an area has nothing, maybe leave a single Void Ray on patrol in case a worker shows up, and then move the carriers elsewhere to continue the job. So these last buildings ran down here mean that this is the only real sort of Terran stronghold left. This stuff is not going to last long, and what we've got going on here, a single worker running about dying. Yeah, so well indeed. Yeah, not bad. So I can't help but feel that SBMous played a better game there than he did in the first game. It looked a bit more focused. It looked like he had a plan and he built to the plan. The expand was a bit snappier. He recognised that he was building expensive units and got up to 3 bases reasonably quickly, and executed the plan well. So yeah, GG. Wafflemaster, I'm not really sure what you were doing. What was with all these things all over the map? The sort of Marine and Cyclone push is a good idea, proxied by all means, but it needs to arrive earlier than whenever it did, 7 minutes or whatever. That needs to be hitting hard at the 5-minute mark at the latest, I would suggest, and ideally more like the 4-minute mark. But anyway, there we go. 2-0 to SBMous, and he goes through to the round of it, and to join Conrad, who was our or Adam, who was our first player through to the quarterfinal stage. Quarterfinal, you know what I mean? What am I saying? Quarterfinal. Yeah, quarterfinal. It's been a long week. What day is it? Tuesday? Tuesday, is it? Tuesday? Yeah. GG.